infrastructure and the basic services, that we require for economic growth. And I mean, as a business, we would be beneficiaries of that economic growth. So, to the panel, Debbie, you're going to take us through. Thank you.
Oh, chica, my baby, chica. Oh, chica, my baby, chica. Oh, chica, my baby, chica. Oh, chica, my baby.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good to be with you again, even if we do have a pretty heavy task ahead of us over the next 45 minutes. And that, of course, as we tackle one of South Africa's biggest conundrums, right? How collaboration between government and private sector can actually work to solve some of the challenges the country is coming up against right now, and specifically in key and crucial services that serve as the backbone of the South African economy, that being, of course, energy, transport, and logistics. And we're going to be homing in on state-owned enterprises in particular, the shift that could be triggered if business provided the funds, the resources, the skills to get things going again, and how that feeds into possibly putting viable solutions on the table that, if the right policy reforms get enacted, then could work to hamper, that could work to then progress and get our economy going on a sustainable basis. And of course, what's in play up to this point has been hampering. So introductions have already been done. With me, James, Yanni, and Andile. So we're going to get straight into the conversation. Yanni, I'm going to start off with you because 11 months ago, we had a business and government agree on this collaborative approach. There's a firm commitment now to address some of the challenges the country faces on the transport and logistics front, on the energy front, and then crime and corruption as well. As things stand right now, where are we at? Are we yielding positive outcomes?
I work for an investment holding company, and sometimes you go to one of your underlying investments and you speak to them, I'm here from head office to help, and that is probably a lie. The biggest myth in business, so you're here from head office to lie. I think we've made some progress. I think sometimes it's been quite frustrating, especially on the work stream that I'm involved in, crime and corruption. That's probably quite politically sensitive. I think there's so many conflicts of interest, people that's got hidden agendas and things like that. So I must admit it's sometimes been, I think my two colleagues can actually also speak for itself, it's been slower than we would like it to move. I used to serve on the council of the University of Stellenbosch, and the rhythm of a university compared to business just different. Things just take slower, and they take even slower when you're dealing in the government, things like that. The execution is always slow, and sometimes does happen. That is sometimes frustrating. But I think glass is half full. Me and Andile spoke about it, but I think we've made some progress, some good progress. And I think the biggest thing that we had to do was to actually have a very focused approach, don't have to come with a shotgun and think you're going to solve all of these things. And maybe just to make it quite clear, we as business are not there to take over the job of government. We're not there to we actually want to look at things where we can add value, we can actually make a difference. And we've identified a few of those areas, and we can maybe go later into some of those things on the crime and corruption. But I think we've made progress, albeit a bit slower than we would have wanted it to be.
Okay, so progress is afoot. Andile, I got a few eyebrow raises from Andre de Ruyter yesterday, every time I was positive about government, right? So I've got to ask you, is the skepticism warranted right now, especially in the run-up to the elections, where we all know the rhetoric is perhaps more pronounced than it ordinarily would be?
Well, I think from where I sit, I don't think that this is just electioneering, as it were. Since we started our work as a new board in July last year, one of the things that we did was to go around and listen, to everybody who was a stakeholder, from customers and from a number of industry players. And we got this sense of everyone wanting to help. In other words, despite the existence of the crisis, we never felt alone as a board. We saw an industry that was hurting, we saw an economy that was hurting, but there was so much goodwill and positivity.
Yeah.
And it is really that asset that helped us to be able to build the reform and the recovery that we now see. So to answer your question, I don't think from where we sit this is electioneering. We want to believe that we are starting to make progress.
Do we go as far as saying that each of the parties, business and government, have put their respective ideologies aside, have really put their differences aside, and are now finally being honest in conversation?
I think so, because I mean, if you recall, I mean, how we ended up to be in this partnership and getting the kind of momentum that we are now seeing, you know, truth be told, I mean, it was really at the insistence of business when they approached government and highlighted a number of things that were not working. You know, the problems were pervasive and they cut across, whether it was electricity and logistics and so on. So if you were to look at the problem from that viewpoint, that's really the genesis of all of this. But the approach was very constructive and collaborative. And I want to single out maybe 3 examples very quickly. The first one, in the case of mining companies, one of the biggest challenges was cable theft, you know, on the corridors where we transport, you know, goods to the ports. The role that business played there was to say, well, we'll deploy security, you know, and they paid